Hey, what's up, Player Development Pod family? We have a special guest with us today as we continue season 2, highlighting those who are doing the work. We have Darien Harris with us today from Michigan State. And honestly, y'all, if I had a Beyond the Field Director of Player Development Award, he definitely would have got this one in 2021. He probably win it every single year. To me, he's the best in the business right now. What they're doing in Michigan State is incredible. I'm so excited to have him on. Y'all don't understand how many hoops I had to. No, I'm just playing. So excited to have him on. Darien, if you could introduce yourself and tell the people that are listening more about you.
Yeah, for sure, man. First, appreciate you having me on. I'm really excited to be on here, and I think the podcast is great. The business overall is great, especially with the landscape of college athletics and the importance of the player development field and all the player development professionals across the country. Shout out to you all. But yeah, Darien Harris, Director of Player Relations, Program Advancement, Michigan State Football. Oversee all of the off-the-field initiatives with Michigan State Football, alumni engagement, community and university outreach, as well as some brand strategy now moving into the summer and towards the season. So definitely, do a lot of different things with MSU football, but have a great time doing it. And at the core of everything I do, it's about intentional programs with the student athletes based on their needs, based on what's going on in their lives, and based on the time of year that we're in. So, despite having several different roles, the player development piece is always going to be first and foremost and most important for the work that I do at Michigan State, especially being a former player there, really caring about the program, bleeding green, and being a Spartan Dawg. Yeah,
man. So I've seen it over the years, man. I remember when we connected, I think it was maybe COVID, right before COVID. We connected, and just seeing your growth has been incredible. And I understand why they got you doing a lot, man. You are the man. Everything you do, you touch is golden. So it's awesome to hear that. We'll get into that a little later, some of the, responsibilities you have. But talk about how you got into this role. You share that, you are a former Spartan Dawg. And if you can kind of talk about, I've seen it, man. I don't know if you can share the Spartan Dawg. Maybe you can't, but we'd love to hear it. About what that means to you. You wrote a blog. I'm going to put in the show notes. You wrote a blog about what it's like to go back into your alma mater and serve the players there. So talk to us about how you got into this role.
Yeah, for sure. Being a Spartan Dawg, being a former player, obviously been connected to the program, since high school and since playing here, two-time grad from here as well. I always felt like I wanted to end up back at Michigan State in some sort of capacity. And as much as I love the X's and O's of the game of football, I thought my path would be a little bit different than the traditional coaching route. I wanted to look at the program and see, okay, what is it that we maybe can enhance or advance a little bit more? We already have a really, really strong infrastructure, great alumni base, amazing university, top 100 university in the world right now. Where along the lines of dealing with student athletes and their experience, can we advance our program forward? And I felt like it was a player development piece. We had some great folks in place in these roles in player development, but felt like we just needed a little bit of a push, somebody to truly facilitate everything that came with off the field development to the student athletes, and that solely be their focus. During the years I was playing professionally, I was still back at Michigan State as a grad assistant working in academics, learning that side of things. Also working on my master's degree, and knew that, eventually at some point when something opened up, I'd hopefully find my way back. And when Coach D'Antonio stepped down and Coach Tucker took the job, I was able to navigate my way into the role that I'm essentially in now, even though I've added, a few more things in the last year or so. And it's been a dream come true for me. I feel like there's not many other accolades that you can put above getting hired at your alma mater. I feel like it's the ultimate, the testament to what you've done previously, the relationships that you have, and the standard that you set, that they would welcome you back in such a role. So it truly has been a dream come true for me, and I just look forward to continuing to build on the role and build on the programs we have in place.
Yeah, I think you touched on something that I've been able to do. And it is, when your alma mater calls you back, it's like, wow, out of respect. Now, the difference between me and you is athletic ability. Mine's is probably a -12 and yours is probably in the high 90s. So if you could talk about, for me, it was like, I'm just glad to go back to my university, you know, and serve the guys that I built relationships with, my friends that were teammates. You are a Spartan Dawg. Like, how is it when you interact with these young men who are literally in the same shoes that you were in?
It's special because I think they can feel the passion and the energy. You know, especially our current regime of players, but also in recruiting, talking to prospects and their families, they can just feel the energy and the vibe and the enthusiasm that hopefully comes across when I'm sharing anything with them because of how much passion I have for the university and the school and for what we did and the success we had, but also the success that I know is right there in our future. You know, not only are our current players, you know, in the shoes that I was in, sitting in the seats that I was in, I've walked that path and been successful in the path that they're walking now. You know, won championships here, won big bowl games, you know, played in the biggest bowl games that you can at this point, played in the college football playoffs, did undergrad here, did my master's program here, did an internship through Michigan State, met a bunch of people, you know, met my fiance and all of those types of things. So when you're thinking about walking the entire path of coming in as a freshman, redshirting, you know, growing through special teams, becoming a starter, then becoming a captain and all-conference player, you know, winning a senior class of all time, coming back to school to graduate. Like, I've walked every single piece of the path, and everyone's path is going to be different. So you'll have student athletes that come in and play right away and don't redshirt. You'll have student athletes that maybe don't necessarily step on the field at all, or a lot less than they thought. You'll have student athletes that don't aspire to get a master's. You'll have student athletes that get a master's and an undergrad before they're done with their 4 years. So everybody walks a different path. But at the same time, I feel like I've touched a lot of different avenues to speak on. And ultimately, it's just that umbrella of being a Spartan Dawg and how special that is to us, our former players, and really anybody that's been in athletics at Michigan State. You know, not just football players are Spartan Dogs. Every athlete is a Spartan Dawg. You know, men and women, is everybody's a Spartan Dawg that comes through Michigan State. So that family bond is powerful, and you can feel it. And you talk to anybody that's suited up in the green and white.
Yeah. So, like, I know I text you this week. I found out about Kirk Gibson, and I was like, what? Kirk Gibson? All I know is home run Kirk Gibson with the limp. I didn't know he was out there. Kirk Gibson was all conference, man.
Yeah.
He was a dog. Now, everybody, you were correct. Every athlete there is a Spartan Dawg, but not everybody gets to take a picture with the dogs. You took a picture. I think those two big cane corsos and the tunnel. Was pretty cool. So you talked about your role. You talked about the player development piece. I kind of want you to talk about, you know, what program advancement, I think that's what you said, maybe program enhancement, and then campus engagement, because I think that's a overrated part of player development. When I talk to, you know, people that are in the role, younger people that want to get in the role, I'm like, hey, relationships are big. They're going to help you in your role. A lot of people think just players, but can you kind of delve into those responsibilities that you have that are a little more external?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, on the campus kind of outreach, university outreach piece, you know, there's a lot at any college to tap into. And the more that you're able to invite the rest of the university into what you're doing, the better the experience is going to be for your student athletes, for your program, and for the school overall. So what we've been able to do under the direction of Coach Tucker is open up our program to anybody that's affiliated with Michigan State, especially those on campus. You know, for example, you talked about the dogs that were out at the photo shoot this past weekend. I mean, those belonged, I believe, to a marketing professor on campus. The day before, we had real live goats on the field, and you know, it's a lot of fun for us and for those who visit. We hope, but you get mixed reactions from the outside. Whereas we're sitting back, we're like, hey, look, we were able to contact the Agriculture College, which is one of our main staples here. We used to be, you know, Michigan Agriculture College. You know, we're the largest land-grant university in the country, big-time agricultural school. Contact them and say, hey, we want you to be a part of our visit, and here's how. And so when they come out with the animals, the excitement that they have to be a part of what we're doing, affiliated with what we're doing. Same way with bringing in the director of the esports team, partnering with the Burns Institute for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, bringing in law professors to discuss NIL. Like, everything we do, you realize you can do a lot of it in-house. You don't have to necessarily outsource everything. And even what we do outsource, whether it's a Matt Mitchell with photography or Brian Murray with creative video, he's creative director of esports and a huge, somebody that's very, very heavily involved with Hard Knocks. He's done 7 Hard Knocks. He's a Michigan State grad. So you can always get, whether it's alumni, people currently in the regime, anybody around the university to be affiliated with what you're doing. So that's really the big piece of that campus connection, communication, which is huge. And then the program advancement part is just about keeping up and trying to stay ahead, really, of what's going on now in the world. Honestly, what's big right now is content creation and content in general. So how can we differentiate our content? How can we be different along that regard? That's the photo shoots, the farm animals out at the photo shoot, the different ways we're shooting different things. How we're tapping into certain things when it comes to the NIL space and being present at these conferences and things like that. That's all about just advancing the program forward, which is always going to be very important to me to try to stay ahead and be a trailblazer.
So one thing that I love that, I feel like I like every one of your posts. I'm like, man, like I hope he don't get tired of me liking him, because I'll be like, man, this is incredible. Like, I love the hashtag intentional programming. And if you can talk about as much as you can, I don't want you to give all the juice away. Y'all have an NIL initiative that I thought was incredible, because I think, and not to talk bad about anybody, I think a lot of people spend time on the branding piece of it, but NIL is so much deeper. So if you can kind of talk about the intentionality you all have in that NIL initiative for just people to hear, what intentional programming means to you with that. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I think the entire space of NIL just comes down to education. And if you approach it through the lens of education and educating the student athletes, then you can't go wrong. The branding piece is huge, and it's a big part of it, and that's why we launched the Define You program, which really is a lot of what we'd already been doing, but we just kind of put a name to it and maybe put it all in a package together so it's a little bit easier to understand and define. But within that Define You program, you have telling your story, your brand, your story. Right. You have the playmaking piece, you have community impact, you have social engagement, you have content creation. All of those things, directly correlate to NIL. And then when you add the player development pieces from it, financial literacy, education and application, media training, public speaking, the list goes on, down to outfitting our entire team in a suit. All of those things kind of come and reach at a peak of maybe NIL, but they all are each their own entity, and they all will benefit the student athletes in a lot of different areas. So it is just being intentional with, okay, what is it from an educational standpoint? Can we really pour a lot of resources in that will have major benefits for our student athletes when it comes to NIL, but also for a lot of different aspects of their life? So, telling their story, but teaching them how to tell their story and defining their brand based on who they are, not based on who we want them to be. That's a key. The playmaking piece, not forgetting that winning as a team is going to benefit everybody. Understanding that the playmakers get paid, understanding that it's not just a glory position, so quote unquote, that are playmakers. Everybody can be a playmaker. Of course, community impact. Stressing not shying away from local partnerships. Of course, the community service piece of it, kind of speaks for itself. And then the social media piece, and then the content creation piece, getting different in how you create content. That's 5 different entities that we could teach, regardless, but they also have NIL affiliations to it. And then because of the day and age we're in with college sports, everything you talk about, you got to loop NIL in it somehow. So even, when we're talking financial literacy, the beauty of having NIL looped into this is that now a lot of these student athletes actually do have some dollars that they can utilize towards what they're getting taught. So one big thing for us on the intentional programming side of things is using their real figures, saying, hey, you write down what you're actually getting. It's going to be different for everybody. And then we build the program based off of that. So all the education you're getting, it is specifically tailored to you. That's the intentionality around the programming. But it all kind of ties to NIL because that's the big thing right now, which is totally okay if you gear it towards education as well.
Right. So one thing that you probably heard before, hear a lot of people say, hey, tell me about what your typical day looks like. And that's like, I'm like, I don't know. I never know. Can you kind of explain what it would look like for you?
Yeah, it's different every day, which is what I really enjoy about it. I think the last month has been incredibly busy for everybody in the building. But for me specifically, it's been a lot of it has been directed towards the official visits. We have an official visit every weekend in June. So got to make sure that everything is tight for that. And a lot of what I've been doing is not only, putting my program in place to be up there, be able to go up and present it, but making sure that the creative side of it is set up nicely. So whether that's collaborating with our creative team as well as our consultants in the creative space and making sure the plan is set up for the week. And these are meetings that are happening every day, for the most part leading up to the event. And then Friday, Saturday is whatever's in the itinerary for the official visit.
Gotcha.
Today was today was a day of meetings, even though it's a vacation. You're never really on vacation in college sports. So I was in, for about 4 hours, just meeting on, things that directly correlate to that advancement piece, things that are coming down the road, but that are different and that we haven't tapped into before. So, in terms of what are like some main staples you have every day, I don't even know if that exists. I think everything's day by day. It's meeting by meeting. It's time frame by time frame. It's month by month. Whatever's necessary and needed in time, it has to be. It has to be front of mind. And maybe that's different than other places. I know that the way we operate is we need things done yesterday. So that means that we're going to move at that speed to where you come out of the meeting and it completely, I won't even say derails your day. You just hit the track and the track turns a different direction. And now it's like, okay, this has now become front of mind for the day. And if you approach it with that mindset, then you can stay ahead. If you come in with the mindset of, well, I don't know if we can get this done until, 2-3 weeks, and then you've already missed it. At least in our building, you've already missed it. Right. So I like that sort of organized chaos because it makes the days different. Makes every single day different.
So one thing I like to talk about people is support, and I honestly, I actually just got off the phone with somebody doing a little consulting, and I said, if you see anybody doing a great job in player development, they're supported. And, I got like 9 doctors, but I think Elliot Daniels, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Lorenzo Guest, you got Ashton Henderson, my man Ashton, shout out Ashton. I need to hit up Ashton, see how he's doing. You got them, but from the outside looking in, and I know from what you're doing, it has to be true. Your biggest supporter is your head coach.
Absolutely.
And if you could talk about, because what happens a lot, and my experience is I've had kind of like a little bit of support, some support, no support, still did a job, whatever it may be, or other people are like, man, I just need my head man to understand this. If you can talk about this, how Coach Mel Tucker helping you with the support has helped impact you and the players and grown you as a professional, but also talk about those who externally you work with to see all this through.
Yeah, it starts with him. I start off every presentation, every time I talk about my program with Coach Mel Tucker believes in the holistic development of the 360-degree student athlete. And I always say I know he believes it because he says it out loud all the time. He says, we are going to do this. And the way he says it is just in a profound way that has allowed me to almost steer away kind of from the cliches, Right. And sometimes there's only certain ways to say certain things. So, on and off the field, we're going to develop our players. We're going to get them ready for life after football. Like, at the end of the day, you kind of have to say those things because how else can you say them? But especially when it comes to recruiting, and even with our current players, but especially recruiting, they have heard that a million times. And when you hear something so many times, sometimes you almost start to not believe it because it becomes robotic. Right. It's like everybody at every program says, we're going to develop you not only on the field, but we're going to develop you off the field. And it's like, that's great. That's fantastic. But how are you going to do it?
Correct.
He's like, hey, I've heard this everywhere. How are you going to do it? The way Coach Tucker defines it is that holistic development of the 360-degree student athlete. Now they're all of a sudden they're like, oh, okay, this sounds different.
Yeah. This is different.
Different.
Yeah.
Then you can start breaking it down to what that means. And every time he talks about it, he says it's financial literacy, it's career services and development, it's NIL, it's branding, it's content creation, it's this, and he lays it out. And the other thing is he leads by example. So all the things that he wants his players to do, he's doing. When we have a session, he's in the session. I'm not sure how many places that exist. Where it's not the whole staff, but it's the players. Coach Tucker's in the back, taking notes every session. That we have. So when he's leading by example like that, and when he says no, we're going to do this, then it's empowering, because he could very easily say we don't have time for this, or this is taking away from something else, or oh, let's wait, to get that done. He's like, no, we need to. We're doing this now,
Right.
And if it's not done now, then where is it, and why hasn't it been put in place? So that's where the kind of that organized chaos comes from, where he wants these things to happen, because as you mentioned, like football takes care of itself. Like we know how to do the football side of things. We know how to coach. We know how to win football games. They're going to get that. But it's everything else that we need to really be intentional about in order for them to really get the experience that we're saying they're going to get. Because it's very nice and easy to sit up there and say you're going to do a bunch of these things, but are you actually doing them is the key. Right.
Man, I appreciate you sharing that, because I think, like I said, man, I could tell, the programs, the individuals who are on your level and put out elite, not just content, because it's intentional. It's not just content. I've been places where, it's like, hey, let's get this out. I'm like, that's like, let's actually create something to help them. It's like, no, we need to get this content out. It's like, but seeing the intentional program you all have is just incredible. So now we'll move to the advice part. What overall advice, what kind of go for those who probably aren't in this role?
Yeah.
Because if you're in this role and you're listening to this, you already got a ton of advice. You just dropped so many gems. Those who are looking to get into it, I know your LinkedIn is probably popping with messages, your email. I want to get in, to player development engagement. I want to get into player relations. Like, what advice do you have for those who are trying to get into the role?
Yeah, for sure. A couple of things. And I think it's awesome that there's a lot of people that are taking interest in this kind of different side of collegiate athletics. I think we need, as many good people in this space as possible. For me, I think the first thing is to be solution based. There's a lot. Probably should say a lot. There's a lot of people that'll find a problem for every solution. You come in the door and you say we're going to do this, and they say, well, I don't know. Correct. Because this is, and if you won't make it at this level, if that's your mindset, at least not with a head coach like we got. So you got to be solution based. If something comes up, the answer has to be, I'll get it done. And then you can figure out the logistics on the backside. But the first thing out of your mouth has to be, I'll get it done. Okay, we can do that. And it has to be confident when you say that. And then you have to go figure out how to make it happen. But just being solution based is I think that's what I've found in the last, couple of years, especially the last, I would say, 6 months is maybe the most important piece that I've tried to incorporate, kind of already had, but really tried to be intentional about that. Is just whatever it is, find a solution, figure out how to get it done, because what I'm finding is the elite people, the high level people, they don't like hearing something can't get done. And if you start to build a reputation of somebody that can't get things done, or you're always deferring or coming up with an excuse, that's how you get kind of moved to the side. Because at the end of the day, we are most definitely in this for the benefit of the student athlete, but it's also competition involved, because as you know, there's a lot of people trying to get into this area, and if you can't get it done, especially with the just the amount of people that want to get in, you'll get moved. You get moved out, and they'll bring somebody else in
with the quickness,
quickly. So you got to be solution based. And then I think the other one is just depending on who you are. Whether played, didn't play, whatever. This is kind of more of I think advice just for getting in athletics in general. You got to take the fandom out of it.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the big things that, next time I talk to, some of the students, just, students at Michigan State that want to get involved in sports, the fandom's got to come out. I think there's been a lot of people I've talked to, over the past, year specifically that are like, hey, I'd love to get involved in the program. I'm just a huge Michigan State fan. That's a red flag. Like, it's a red flag. Because,
bye.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to get in because you're a fan. And then once you get in, what are you going to do? How are you going to approach a situation, especially in this role? So you're coming in as a fan. What are you going to do when the best player says, I'm not going to a session because yada, yada, yada? You're going to confront and demand, or you're going to say, well, it's okay because I want him to be my friend at the end of the day. I want her to be my friend at the end of the day. You want to make sure that we're still buddy, but it's just not, this can be that after the fact, but a lot of it in it is, we're not here to be friends with the student athletes. We're here to be of service and be mentors, but we're not necessarily here to be friends. So I think that's hard, sometimes, especially it's hard as a former player, to come in at a young age and all of a sudden you're trying to demand certain things from, folks that were, like you said, are in your shoes where you just were a few years ago. But I would say those are the two big things right now, especially for me, are solution-based and taking the fandom out of it.
Yeah, I was at the Black Sports Business Symposium in Atlanta, and the executive vice president of the Bucks said, she literally told everybody, like, hey, if you don't know the sport, that might be the best thing for us. Like, if you don't, know the sport, if you're just passionate about it. We had an intern at a university I worked with. He got on one of the players. Hey, man, you didn't follow me back on Instagram. I said, bro, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Half these dudes don't follow me. I don't care. I only follow them for one reason. They know why I'm following them.
Exactly.
So it's just like, you can't do that.
Exactly.
What's the best advice you've received in your life?
Oh, wow. It's definitely from my dad, which is just don't maintain where you're at, advance forward. And so that's where the program advancement piece came from for me. With that, that's the biggest thing, is always advance wherever you're at forward. Find a way to do it. Find a way to bring forth some type of new idea, a new initiative, new program, something that's not being done before. Whatever it is, find it, figure it out, and roll with it. And so I've always kind of taken that to heart, no matter what I'm doing. And now it's more prevalent than ever in this role, especially with the landscape we're in now. It's like you got to find ways to be different, because that's how you're going to grasp the attention of the student athlete. At the main crux of all this, it's about the current regime. It's about the current guys we have, and finding what works for them, and then everything else takes care of itself. Recruiting, winning, all of that, those types of things. When you find out what works for who you got, then you can spread that out. And that advancement piece is the major piece of that. Just being different and advancing where you're at forward.
Absolutely. Practical nugget that you have of wisdom, like the one, and I'll give you an example. Like for me, what I wish I would have done my first year is scan every single thing that we did, because all you're gonna do is do it over again. Write solutions and then go on. So what would be your practical nugget?
Keep a calendar. Keep a calendar of all the programs you do and events that you have, kind of along the lines of what you just said. But it was something that we kind of did sporadically. Like we would drop a June calendar, and then we wouldn't do anything in July, and then come back in August. And then the season hits, and then we'd probably do one in February. Then we forget all the way till May. So that wasn't as intentional as it needed to be. So I think that doing a calendar and just plotting, and something different than like your Outlook calendar, for example, something that you can visually see. So then you can look back and like, hey, we did this many in this month. We did this many different things in this month. This was too little. This was too much. This was just enough. Like, I think it's a really great way also you're holding a portfolio. So now you can take this to different places and say, here's what I initiated during these months. And then now, like I said, you have a plan to kind of repeat going forward, because once you get in rhythm, that's what it's going to be. This time of year is going to be for this time of year is going to be for this, and so on and so forth.
Gotcha. And then this is something I ask a lot of people in the role, because, man, I mean, from, when we started to like 2020 was just like, put your chin strap on, put your mouthpiece in, and just every single day you're running down on kickoff. How do you take care of yourself? You take care of so many people. How do you take care of yourself?
Yeah, that's a great question. You gotta find things that you're passionate about outside of the job, so to speak, and I think even outside of like the what's expected. Like it's very easy to say, come home, hang with the family, hang with the daughter. Like that we know that. Like obviously that's number one on the list, of course.
Right.
But at least I hope it is. But you know, you got to find things outside of that too. You know, for me, it's going to the movies still. Like solo trips to the movies for me is big. You know, I've always kind of loved to do that. That's still big for me now. So, hey, find some time. Even you know the way our schedule is set up. Find time during an official visit. That break time, like hit a movie. Just sit back, lay back, just chill, just decompress. Your mind is focused on something that's not affiliated with work, and then you can pick it up and roll from there. And then just, you know, that, and then, you know, that's the fun side. And then for me, it's just, it's like physical well-being for me. So, you know, working out, you know, keeping a regime there, that's big. You know, a lot of folks, golf is their outlook, their avenue. That's great also. You know, you got to find something. You got to find something that you're passionate about, that you care about, and that you also talk about with others. Say, hey, I like doing this. There's like-minded people that also like this. So now I'm building a community around things that I like and that I enjoy, and then discuss those things so that you're also discussing things with other people outside the job. Because, yeah, a lot of this, you know, vast majority, if not all of it, is taking care of somebody else. A lot of other else's, you know, young minds that are going through a lot. So you're going to, you know, it can weigh on you because you're getting hit a lot of different things, a lot of different ways, and everybody needs something different. And they know that you're the guy or you're the girl to come to because you say that up front. If you need anything, my phone's on 24/7. They take that to heart. Like they know it's true.
There's
a problem. They're going to pick up the phone and call you.
Right.
And you're going to be expected to solve it no matter what's going on in your life. You know, again, that goes back to being solution-based. You know, you can't put a student-athlete on hold literally and figuratively when you're in this space. You got to answer and you got to be able to solve the problem. So yeah, you absolutely have to have things outside of that bring you joy as well.
Man, that was deep. There was a lot of nuggets in there. There's a lot to learn. Thank you so much. But we're about to move to the rapid fire round. Got some questions that you did not know about. Here we go. You did not know about this.
These are fun.
All right. So number one, what are you reading right now?
Right now, I am reading Static Shock comic book.
Nice.
That Static Shock is back in, I guess, in print now. So it's brand new. They had stopped making them for a while, and so I went ahead and just bought like the season 1, it's called, and checking that out. So trying to bring my childhood back.
I like it. Did you like the TV? They had a Static Shock TV show, right? You liked it? It was pretty good? Okay, good. I just want to make sure it was good.
Oh, yeah.
All right. What is a daily discipline you are working on? Something new.
Ooh, something new. Honestly, right now, intentionally watering the grass. like taking the time to do it right.
Right.
Which is, you know, when you get to that point of home ownership, you learn like watering the grass is as tedious and meticulous of an assignment as there is. And if that doesn't become a discipline, then it's not going to get done.
Yeah.
So that is, especially this time of year as it's drying out, that's where I'm at.
Okay. See, now my wife's been telling me to do it. We have, we bought our house that had a sprinkler. I need to go ahead and go out there and get it done.
It's hard to do because it's like you just don't want to do it.
Right. You just, I'll do something else before it. And you're like, oh man, it's nighttime. Like, yeah. Yep. Nice. All right. If someone gives you $25 for lunch, where are you going in East Lansing to eat?
I'm going to Szechuan Garden, favorite Chinese restaurant in Williamston, just outside of East Lansing. But
nice. Still
Lansing area.
Nice. All right. Okay. So that's lunch. What if somebody gave you $125 for dinner?
Whoo. In the East Lansing area, Bodie's Chop House, downtown Lansing.
Bodie's Chop. Mm-hmm. Nice. That sounds like something y'all do for the official visit.
Yeah.
All right, if you could join a band or music group, past or present, who would it be?
Whew, that's a great question. Past or present? I'm gonna go with. I'll go with the Migos. I'll go with the present group.
Nice.
Migos.
Nice. I like it. All right, who would you co-star in a movie with? And I didn't know. Hey, y'all, I did not know my guy was a movie guy. Who would you co-star in a movie with? Action and comedy.
Action movie, it would be Keanu Reeves.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And then comedy, I would partner with. There's a lot of funny people out there. I would have to do Eddie Murphy still.
Nice,
Eddie
nice.
Murphy.
Well, since we learned about movies, what's your favorite one?
Right now, Infinity War.
Nice. That is a good one. All right, sport you wish you played growing up.
I played a lot of sports growing up. I would go motocross.
Motocross, nice.
Yes.
Nice.
I'm a huge motocross fan.
Nice. And then to finish it out, how can we follow you on social media? How can we support you?
To follow me, Twitter and Instagram is dharris_45. And then our player development platform is MSU Overtime, also on Twitter and Instagram.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being here, man. I'm really I know, when you got into it, you gave me a call, man. I look to you. You do a lot, man. I'm proud of you, man. Like, you're inspiration. I take notes like, hey, man, you're crushing. I didn't think about that. So it's just, you do an incredible job, man. And I appreciate you. I tell people all the time, they ask me about, I get students, they'll be like, who do I need? Go talk to Darien Harris. Try and reach out. He's probably as busy as all get out, but try and get with him. So appreciate having you on the pod. And I know I got a lot out of this. So I know our listeners did as well, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me.
No problem.